Okay, welcome everyone to our third panel of the day. And here in this panel, we will talk about faculty readiness and requirements for blended learning. So this panel will address the institutional standards and expectations for faculty involvement in blended learning. The goal is to explore whether there should be minimum qualifications, training benchmarks, or course level restrictions. So today with me I have discussants. As discussants I have Professor Kaiser Hamidul Haq, PhD. He is Professor and Dean of School of Maths and Humanities at ULAB. My second discussant is Mohammad Muntasir Mamun, Assistant Professor, Department of English, and Professor Muhammad Ghulam Kibriya, PhD, SMI Tripoli. He is the Professor and Head of Department of Computer Science and Engineering. So, without further ado, we'll start the panel. So, sir, as you already know, today's topic is blended learning and faculty readiness for that. We all know that blended learning is a pretty recent phenomenon in Bangladesh. Specifically, it started right after COVID. I would like to ask you regarding your opinion on should there be a threshold of training hours or certifications for faculty to qualify for teaching blended courses?
Honorable Chair of the session, fellow panelists, I first like to congratulate everyone. It's such a lovely late afternoon. The cool of the field is enticing. This is also a form of blended conference. You can watch the green outside while you live. Now, I think the first thing we have to remember is the background. It's actually nothing new. I mean, now we talk about digital technology and in-person teaching and training. In the past, you had distance learning. I mean, the Open University, for example, which is a massive program in the UK. They had lectures broadcast on television and even tutoring at the various institutions. The whole thing was well off. Now, we are now dealing with digital technology and blending that in, and how to blend it with in-person teaching. This, I discovered, partly to my dismay, has become the new norm. I mean, even traditional institutions, even Oxford has blended learning. There are certain courses, there are certain programs which use it extensively. There are some which, even some advanced diplomas which are taught entirely online. It's the same on the other side of that. Now, you see, we, I think, must first of all examine our situation. What are our needs, our plans, what are we aiming at, and how, if necessary, we can blend it. Now, COVID showed us one thing, that we are capable of switching to online teaching. It also showed us that online teaching ends up producing students who get good grades without learning much. And to my horror, I found out that this happened in one undergraduate course and one graduate course, any course. Both the students were very responsive, dedicated. They read their texts, they participated in classroom discussions, but in the first test I gave them, in the class test, I found that the writing did not match their ability. I knew that they were good students. And so I taught them and showed them their written work. And they then confessed that they themselves were not aware of how badly they were writing, because they had begun their university education online during COVID. And they had to do assignments online. They were given these Google Classroom. And when they did the assignments, autocorrect would come in. There would be prompts. So and it's such a great help, you know. Here they're sort of prompting that, oh, this is like good praise to you, then you say, okay, I use that. And then you end up, you submit that and you get good praise. But you don't learn, you don't internalize what you see, what you are doing. And this is something that's also very important for language teachers. You know? Now, that means we have to prepare our faculty members to face this kind of situation and to do what is needed to prevent students from getting away with this kind of thing. Now, this needs, I don't know if we can call it training, but certainly discussion among ourselves, workshops, where we can bring up the problems we face. And we have to devise the solutions ourselves. Now, and then the next question is, can we use blended learning in normal terms? Now, this is something that I even mentioned in one of our meetings with the syndicate of academic government. That this is one way of increasing the number of, increasing the student intake. You can have some blended courses. So, in other words, now if you have 5,000 students, it's possible to have 10,000 and with 5,000 of doing blended courses. But we have not worked out the modality to ensure efficiency. Now, I think the basic formula for that lectures can be delivered online. Assignments are proper, as I said, and are properly. So, exams ideally should be held on campus, in person. And the exact blend is something we have to determine. Perhaps you can have some in-person classes, some online classes, some lectures online. So we are, I think, in a totally new area, and the program that we devise has to be based on a consideration of our situation, our problems, our aims, and the formula, I think, has to be dynamic. We cannot be rigid. If let's say, if UGC says, from next semester, every private university must have this kind of arrangement, that will be very hard. Because, there's no one-size-fits-all formula. So we have to be more flexible, see whether a program that we have launched is working effectively, and modify if necessary. And we are bound to face situations where radical modification will be necessary. We cannot judge beforehand that this is going to work. Teachers certainly need to be aware of the scope and problems and limitations of that is something that each institution has to ensure that the teachers are open about the problems, discuss them, and collectively work out solutions.
Yes, thank you, sir. So, Professor Curio, would you like to add something?
Thank you everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, the CETL, for giving me the opportunity. So, as rightly mentioned by Professor Kaiser, the blended, it is actually not the new. As I know from 2013, ULAB introduced the, online teaching, just the part of the blended learning. And we have learned a lot of technology in this platform during the pandemic. So, it is actually new normal, and in the future, we expect that other university also they will continue with the blended learning. At the ULAB, this blended learning, as I remember, it started almost 2 years before, and gradually now it becomes more popular. So, but there are some challenges actually, because some faculty members may not be flexible or not comfortable because of some lack of training, because of the short of the time for redesigning their course for the blended learning, because it actually combines the face-to-face teaching as well as the online teaching. So, also there are some challenges regarding the infrastructure, such as uninterrupted internet and the administrative support. I also would like to mention a challenge, like we should have some regular ongoing workshop for the faculty members, so that the faculty members can know about their, how to conduct their class online, because we are used to take physical class, and how to conduct different assessment using the online, because we know that normally students, they don't prefer to turn on their webcam. So we need to think about it, and we need to do some kind of research that how we can conduct this kind of assessment. Of course, we will take the quiz or other assessment tools, for example, the midterm or final exam, we will take it physically. But since it is a blended, we just not only give lecture online, but we also need to evaluate. So these are some challenges. So there are some solutions, as I also already mentioned, that we should have one like we have different centers for doing research or for innovative ideas. So if we have this kind of cell or center where we always look for new innovation or new method internally and outside, so then we can actually make a constructive policy or guidelines for the faculty members. And I have experience on the blended learning at ULAB. So students, that they just connect to the lecture, the online session, and when teacher actually ask some questions, they don't respond. But whereas we found that in the physical class, if we ask, they respond. They are actually active in the physical class. But then what happened in the online class? So maybe the students, they connect and they don't, mentally they are not engaged in the class. So how we can overcome these challenges, that is a question. That's the thing.
Well, the question is about training and certification. I think in our country, so far, we don't train teachers for blended classes. But few things I want to mention, even if not training, but we need to cover those things. Like number one, technology skills. Number two, planning about the course. And number three, positive mindset. From faculty side, I think these three things should be maintained. Like as I said, technology skills, yes, as Kaisasa mentioned, that the students get away with, it happens. But what about us? Can we enhance our technology skills to catch them? Like at ULAB we used Turnitin. In some cases it was successful. But still, the students know many more ways than us. That is again a risk. And number two, as I said, planning and management. I don't think every course should be put into blended this way. There should be some planned courses. The teacher has to plan and manage so that it is useful in blended way. So the planning is necessary. And number three, as I said, the mindset. Well, I think our young generation already has a mindset for online and also blended. But what about us? Do we have a very positive mindset about online classes or blended learning? So if the teacher doesn't have positive mindset, we cannot expect the students to agree to that. So I think if we think about this, then we can go more about blended learning. That's what I would say.
Okay, sir, thank you. So I think the general consensus is that we need some kind of a training or at least some workshops before we send our teachers to start taking blended. Okay, thank you. So my next question would be, according to you, do you think that certain subjects or levels, like the third and fourth year courses, are more suitable for blended delivery? What are your opinion on that?
Again, it all depends on what we plan to do. If we plan to have blended degrees, then we will have to work out a form. And this is also tied to costs, I think. Online courses are cheaper, which is why in the West there are many students who work and then do online courses and work towards the degree. So If we offer blended courses, the cost has to be less. We have to work out the economics of it. And then, in other words, we have to consider what our situation is, what our aims are. If we want to, let's say, launch a blended degree program, we have to plan accordingly. And then decide whether a first-year student, first semester student will have any online classes. There may be some things that can be taught effectively online. Particularly, there are courses which, non-training courses, which they just have to follow, learn some basic things. They just pass or fail. Yes, that's they're satisfied. They can move on. So these are little nitty-gritty details that we have to look at. And if we offer they may come when universities will offer online degrees. I'm not saying it's a wonderful idea. I think it feels a bit apprehension, but what if that day comes? Then will universities which offer online degrees will have to plan how. At the moment, we are in a situation where the in-person classes are small. So we will have to sort of prepare ourselves for some blending when, if and when necessary. So, when there's an emergency, we switch to online mode. But we have to look at exactly what our aim is in a course and then plan. We can't give a formula for everyone to follow.
Sir?
It's not actually about the third or fourth year. If I tell about engineering perspective, in first year, second year, third and fourth year, there are some courses that requires, teaching requires the board, that whiteboard, because of some formula or some kind of mathematical derivation, and that's why, especially the beginners, that we have the language course, we have the data structure course, algorithm course. These actually requires the physical, completely physical. Blended means one plus online and other plus the physical class. This kind of course actually requires face-to-face teaching. So also in the fourth year, there are some courses that mainly based on the theoretical. So we can select this course based on the activities, using of tools in the lecture. And it is better that the department, of course they have some academic committee or different kinds of committee, they actually select based on this kind of criteria for the blended learning. We cannot just say that, okay, in this semester we will test as a model, this course will be in the blended. So we cannot say actually this. The teacher and the expert can evaluate which course should be blended or not.
Thank you, sir. Does it, sir?
Well, third year or fourth year, as you mentioned, I think it should be the other way. Because when students get closer to graduation, they are more exposed to lecture-based classes. At least in our department, I say, we give more lecture-based classes. And I think for online classes, lecture-based classes not that. So I prefer the younger students should be given this kind of practices, where we may have more group work, speaking practices, and workshop kind of things at online. Otherwise, it's difficult to keep their attention and engagement in the class. So instead of lecture days, those things will be provided. But I think at senior level, students are more exposed to lecture-based classes. So I would suggest at junior level, we can try some of those. But obviously, as Sir said, not every course is suitable. So we must have those courses designed that way. Yes, department also varies.
Case by case.
Yes.
Okay, so the general agreement is that it's case by case, right? Because Sir talked about non-credit courses, you talked about beginner level courses, while Professor Curia talked about specifically the beginning courses to be not online. So I sense a disagreement over there, so I think it's discipline-wise, age-wise we need to decide, right? We cannot have a general framework over here. Okay, thank you. So my next question would be, should blended learning be limited to faculty with demonstrated digital competencies? Or should it be for everyone?
Again, I mean, in a department, the department has an academic committee, the department has coordinators, the department assigns courses. Now, let's say in our department, in the English department, if we have something, the first thing that the coordinator and the head of department do is to find out which teachers are eager to teach using that. If you have the willingness, the motivation, and some may not feel very comfortable. I would like to have to teach in person in every class, in every so, precisely. So it has to be, it's a matter of departmental coordination.
Yes, I am certain. The thing is that few faculty members, they don't actually comfortable with the blended learning because of, as I mentioned earlier, the students sometimes, there are some students of course who respond, but at this moment the teaching is not only like the delivery, it should be active teaching, where the faculty members deliver and also students participate. Otherwise, I mean, the objective will not be fulfilled. This is one thing. And other thing is that faculty members who will take this kind of blended courses, I think they might be recognized in some way. Also, it can be a KPI for the increment or like promotion. That would be an effective way to, in that way, faculty members also will come forward for blended. The main thing is that we need to develop a culture. If we can develop the culture that, okay, at ULAB, blended learning is one of the major component of teaching, in the active teaching and learning. And whoever will come here, if they have the prior experience, they might be given priority and they might be recognized. I think this will actually gradually develop the culture.
I already mentioned in your first question that the teacher must have a positive mindset about blended learning. So not every teacher is willing to or interested in. So that thing should come first. Who is willing to? Who is interested in? Then that person can, I think, plan actively and be interested in going for a blended course. it should not be randomly, as Kaiser sir already mentioned, it should not be randomly given to any course or any course teacher.
Okay. So, can it be that since we are talking about willingness from our faculty members, can it be that willingness actually stems from digital competencies? Someone who's competent might be more willing. So in a way, it might be, in another way, we are actually promoting faculty members who already have digital competencies. So what sir said, if there is an award system, some way of giving promotions or an increment, more faculty members might be willing to develop that competency. If I'm not wrong, right? Okay, so
the most important thing is the last item that we have. Please.
yeah, okay. So my last question is, how can ULAB support faculty in transitioning to blended models while ensuring equity and accountability?
Yeah. The very questions you assume there is a pressure to transition. No university has transitioned. There is no program, there is no plan from the UGC or the Ministry of to transition to a blended model. And then the second question, problem is that will the blended model be for all courses for the entire university? It never is. Nowhere do you have an all blended methodology. There are certain programs which seem to work well with the blended model, and many universities in the West are using that. We have to get reach that stage. And then at the moment, as far as ULAB is concerned, we are facing difficulties. Our student intake has dropped for various reasons. And we don't know what the intake will be in the near future. So it all has to do with student intake, what, how many programs we want to have. So if there's a tremendous pressure, if students are trying to break down or want to get in, then we will naturally try to accommodate them. And if you think that a blended model is effective in providing them with the education that we want, we'll do that. We'll transition. So, but there is no compulsion here, there is no plan to sort of create a blended model. So it's a question that really makes no sense.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, similar thing. Just want to mention that the authority can ensure the IT infrastructure, as I already mentioned, like stable internet, training for the faculty members or workshop, not once, it should be every semester at least at the beginning, and interdisciplinary engagement for the best practices. I think these will help faculty members, and also I don't know whether it is possible not to train the students also. It is because everything, our academic activities is for the student centered. So if only the faculty members are trained, but the students also need to be trained how they should engage, or in case of any test or for any evaluation process, how they actually participate. For example, turn on their webcam, or they don't sit together. So this kind of ethical issue needs to be trained so that students, they grow up ethically.
What's the question?
whole ULAB
So,
can.
ULAB support, I think first thing is Wi-Fi. We should have strong, powerful Wi-Fi. But what about the whole country? Because students stay at many places. Many of them do not have good Wi-Fi support. And we may call the postmodern generation as cyber, all these things. I know they are very good at dealing online things, but I'm afraid at online classes somehow they seem not to be so skilled. Many falters are there. So I think, as Kibrias has said, students also need to interact.
Do all the students have laptops and
Not every.
unless we can provide them with good equipment, many of the things will not really work. And then the Wi-Fi connection and their connection.
So maybe that's what ULAB can think about. How we can provide laptop to students. We can take some extra money and provide a laptop.
We can provide students when they get paid, but of course we will take the money. So the two things actually happen. The students, they are very interested to be admitted at ULAB because they can convince their parents, okay, you will provide the laptop. What about the money? That's the secondary thing, but you will provide the laptop. So in this way, I think gradually we can, they can be digitalized as well as blended learning will be more effective.
Okay, so I am taking notes on behalf of the admission team, I guess. So that I can, let them know that this can be done. Thank you very much. From today's panel, we got some ideas regarding how we can approach blended learning, that it's not, readily applicable for all the disciplines or all the teachers or even all the students. So we need to be a bit cautious and judge it case by case basis. Thank you very much.